Hello, everybody. Jmmey321 here, aka JohnBlack, coming at you with a little bit of a tutorial. This shouldn't be public to everybody, so hopefully I don't have to be so polished and everything. I'm hoping to keep this less than an hour long, but we'll see. Should be less than an hour. It's not going to be that long. All we got to do today is recreate the graphic style that we've been using for some of the thumbnails that I've been using. For example, switch this over here. This is the one we're going to be modeling after. I think this is like the best version that I've created of the thumbnails for our YouTube channel. But as you can see right here, here's like the very first version. Whenever I first came up with this version, with this idea for like a thumbnail, it's not necessarily my idea. It's basically just the generic blueprint for like creating like eye-catching, like I guess you would say clickbaity kind of thumbnails. But I took it and I kind of put Swat's own kind of vibe on it, you know, with our SWAT colors and everything. But this was like the original idea, and I think this is a lot, even this right here is a lot better, right? And so I'm just going to be going through some of the principles and the things and the thought process that I'm going through whenever I create something like this. And even though you guys may not be using Photoshop, might be able to take some of the ideas and concepts that I'm doing and apply them to maybe some of you guys' graphics. Okay, so this is the current thumbnail, the model thumbnail that we're going to be going after, right? And to just kind of simplify everything, did I really got a bonsai? I messed up all the prop things, but I messed up all the naming for the layers on here. But just to keep everything simplified, I'm going to go through like a couple phases of this. 3 phases, I'm going to call them: the background, props, and then the text. I have text and such. But basically, you know, we have the arrow, and then you have the little live button over here to the left. So it's like prop. It's not necessarily props. It's more of like text and I don't know what you call this. It's the arrow, but text and arrows. I don't know. The UI almost of it. Interface of the whole entire thing. As I said, this is not going to be super polished, right? Okay. So I think we should definitely start with the background and just getting some principles with the background. So we're actually going to go back to Habbo, right? And when creating the background for a lot of these pictures, you'll notice that in our battle bonsai, you know, you see the background, but it's not like super eye-catching. It's not distracting, right? And that's what you kind of want, right? We have the information going on that we want people to focus on. We want people to see the logo and be able to just help with brand recognition. And we want them to see the text, and then the props need to be all eye-catching and everything, right? We want them to see this stuff, but we don't really want them to notice the background. But we don't want the background just to be super bland, right? But I usually start when I first started off with this. Like right now, I have like all this kind of like in a folder where I don't have to do every single thing every time. But usually, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna start with the SWAT blue in background right here. If you don't know the SWAT colors, we have this yellow and this blue. These are our 2 colors. I just start with the blue, and then I get a screenshot that I want to use for the background. Usually it's just going to be a screenshot of the base, right? And a principle that I like to go by when doing screenshots, at least, and even streaming everything. I like to keep everything in Zoom 2. If you don't know how to get to Zoom 2, you go Zoom 2. It's a command on Habbo, and this is Zoom 2. And this creates like the best quality screenshots that you're gonna get, right? And we're even gonna, in Photoshop and in your editing software, you're even gonna zoom in even further than that, just to make it even look better, right? But I feel like having I've always had the idea that taking screenshots from it all the way zoomed out like this is just it's just kind of ugly. Not necessarily. You don't get really good graphics with this kind of stuff. But I think Habbo just looks better at Zoom 2. And I think all kind of graphics and videos just look better when it's in Zoom 2. And then it allows me to be able to even zoom in further. Like for videos, I'm able to go in further and it doesn't look all pixelated. If I recorded everything and I did all my graphics at the basic level, goodness. What the heck? Like I said, this is not polished. Okay, so if I did all my graphics and everything at this zoom level, whenever I zoom in, I try to like stretch it in like Photoshop or in video specifically, then it's gonna get like all there's gonna be a lot of I know it's a pixel game, but like just when you're stretching and such, at least in video, it's not gonna be like super sharp like this is with the sharp edges. It's gonna be like there's gonna be like all this different colors around all the edges, and it's not gonna look good, right? So I always use Zoom 2, sometimes even more than Zoom 2, Zoom 3 or something. But what you can do is we could just take a screenshot here. I'm gonna use my screenshot program, get this up right here, go back to Habbo, go back to screenshot program, take a little bit of a screenshot. So I'm gonna take a screenshot right here, copy that, take that over to Photoshop or your editing software, paste that in there right here. And even right now, it's not going to be big enough a lot of times. So what I'll do is I'll image adjust size, and I'm going to make this 200%, exactly 200% to the nearest neighbor with hard edges. So it basically, because it's pixels, it's easier to do this. You're able to just make a basically pixel by pixel replica of this picture. You're not able to do that with non-pixel games, but because Habbo's pixel, you're able to do this. So I do 200% nearest neighbor to get a perfect upscale of my screenshot right here. So now I got even bigger, and so now each pixel is actually 4 pixels or 4 squares. You got one. That's a little bit more than that because I was already at Zoom 2. But technically, if you did it at regular zoom, if you took the screenshot at regular zoom, you could upscale this whole entire thing perfectly by doing it like 400%. But because we were already at 200%, or basically 200% zoom, it's basically like us doing 400% upscale because we were already in game Zoom 2. But from here, I'll take this screenshot and I'm going to actually make it black and white. And I'll show you why here in a bit. So different softwares are going to be able to have this different process. For me, I do a layer adjustment, black and white, right? I do a little adjustments, but to the reds, but just regular black and white works. Then I merge all these layers there. So now I have my black and white screenshot. I'm going to copy that over to our yellow, our blue background, right? Paste right here, and you can see the kind of size. I kind of line it where I want it to be. I know that there's going to be a lot of graphics down at the bottom, so I want a lot of my action and kind of interesting stuff happening in the screenshot to be higher up. So I'm going to go like this right here. That way, whenever people see it, they can see the background with the front desk and everything. But yeah, okay. From here, this is going to look different for a lot of people. But basically, you're going to want to adjust how we basically want this to be a layer on top of our blue background. So for me, I go on Photoshop, soft light. And so now you can already kind of see it. I forget what that's called. Blending options, basically. It blends it with the background because this is like, it's supposed to be, it's almost like acting like a texture for the Swat blue, right? But I do a little step above that. I will go and change the opacity. If you don't have this, you can basically just do normal and change the opacity right there to like lower 23. So now you can only see 23. We still got the Swat color, but it's black and white. If you didn't have the color black, it didn't have the screenshot black and white, it's gonna change up a bunch of stuff, and you'll start seeing like a little bit of colors, and it degrades the color even more. And because we made it black and white, it doesn't affect it as much. But if you have Photoshop, you can do soft light and then bring this up to get even clearer idea of what's going on in the screenshot. So I do somewhere around 40 to 30 depending on the screenshot. And so now you have Swat's blue, but with the Swat base behind it, right? Or a screenshot, right? And then you can add on to that, add more into this, right? Okay, so we're still focusing on the background right here. Let's see here. In this screenshot, let's see, I had the BG color, I had the black and white, I had it at 70 in soft light because this was a bit different kind of screenshot, I guess. Let's see what that looks like on this one. 70. Yeah, that still looks good. Yeah, we're going to leave it at 70. 70 to 40 to 30, depending on what you're looking at. It depends really on your graphic, whatever kind of graphics you're putting on top of it. A lot of this is covered up, as you can see, so it doesn't matter. So it just adds to it. So it looks good. But we'll see, depending on what we do here. I'm going to try to recreate basically this whole entire thing and kind of show you. But okay, so we got the background for the most part, the first part of the background, right? One part that you'll see right here, just to add texture and excitement to the whole entire screen, whole entire image, is these lines. And what these lines are called speed lines. And you can find these online all over the place. I just found this free like thumbnail creation asset pack, and I was able to take this kind of speed lines right here. If you really want these speed lines, I have a couple of them. I can share them with you. So let me know. But yeah, I add these speed lines, and you can hardly even you don't even notice them right here, but they add actually like a lot of excitement to the picture, and just like you don't even hardly notice them, but subconsciously you kind of see it's like, oh, something crazy is going on here, which is good, right? So I add that right there. But the next part of this background, because we're still doing the background here, is I add Swat's logo. Now, this is going to look different for a lot of kind of graphics that you do. Actually, I had Swat's logo 2 times. And you probably don't even notice the first time. Nobody really notices the first time. But it's something I do here. Okay, so we have the Swat S right here. And what I do is something kind of crazy here. I go all the way out. Take this in right here. Right there. Boom. And I'm actually going to put this underneath the SWAT lines. So in the layer wise, it's the SWAT blue background with the layer 1 screenshot. We're just going to call that screenshot. Screenshot. S white logo. Yeah. Call it S logo. This is just the S. And then we're going to do that we're going to change the blending mode to soft light. And then we are going to change the opacity where you can just barely see it basically. Boom. Just add some more texture to the background. Right there. Okay. And then next part, I do usually add SWAT's logo and full logo. But I think I'm gonna leave it over here, but it's best to edit this after you put in the props and everything. But I am gonna leave it on there. And I add like a drop shadow. Depending on what we do for the other stuff, I just add a little bit of drop shadow, angle it. Doesn't matter how you angle it really. Just as long as like everything else is angled the same way and you don't add too harsh of a drop shadow. So opacity is like at 30 or 40 right there. Right there. Okay. And I think it's time we start working on our props. I don't have any props in here. If you go over here, you'll notice that always on the right side, I put myself. As of late, I've been putting myself just because I've been the one doing a lot of these events. And it's just like a face that people could recognize, basically, is the idea. But let's say you want to put your face or somebody else's, one of the other founders that's going to be super recognized. This is just the principle that some ideas that you can use to help you. And so here's what I do. Even this is kind of the same principle with a lot of some of the props sometimes as well. So for me, I create a room called green. And it's a green screen, right? I'll zoom in 3 or 4 or 5. Look how close I get on my screen. I get super close depending on how I want to be. I know you can also use generators, but sometimes they don't work right with the colors and everything. I usually like to be facing like this. Goodness, this is bad. So there we go. Okay. And so right there. So I'm really close to my character, as big as I can get it. You can change its props and everything. For this one, I was actually able, for the Battle Bonsai, and that's why I liked using this room right here, the green screen room. It's because I can get stuff like this. I have the Battle Bonsai effect on. Oh, wait, no, it's called Portal. And I had the SWAT, the blue portal too, just to be the same with boom. And Let's get a screenshot. Boom. Take a screenshot. I have that screenshot. I go back into my photo editing software. I open, if you don't have like multiple tabs like this kind of softwares, a lot of times you're gonna have to do, if you like, you're gonna have to do a lot of these things separately and like kind of prepare, right? When it came down to taking the screenshot, and you know, you end up making the screenshot black and white, so you can have the background for the next for your actual graphic. You're gonna have to like go create a graphic or project in maybe Canva, make it black and white, save that, right? And then come over here, and then maybe even work with your props, get all your props together as well. So for this, I'm going to create a new one, create new, paste in my screenshot. Because I have the green background, I'm able to just select the green background and remove it. It's like these green little things right there. Copy. Wow, I didn't even notice it had this, but I probably had, well, you don't even see that in the screenshot, I don't think, so it doesn't matter. I copy that. Actually, you copy the transparent version of your picture. Go back into your main thing, go into the props folder, paste this under the props folder. It's not big enough, so I go back here and I go image size. I'm going to upscale it 200%. The perfect upscale, so there's not going to be any kind of stretching. Copy that. Go back to our thing right there. Oof. Almost too big, really. But we're just going to pretend it's not too big. Sometimes I'll curve it. All right. There. Right there. And then what I'll do with all my props, and I have the whole entire props folder kind of made this. I'll do this the whole entire props folder, but I will do, and sometimes I don't do the whole entire folder. Depends. Actually, yeah, that's right. I don't do the whole entire folder anymore. I do each individual prop. So I'm going to name this one John, and I'm going to go into this and I'm going to create an outline over it, a stroke, a white stroke. And depending, I don't make it too big, but I don't want to make it too small. That's about what I do. You zoom out to see if that looks okay. That's a good trick that you should always be doing, is you zoom out. That way, whenever you know, if you go onto smaller devices, you can see what it looks like. You're able to still recognize what's going on, and you know you've done it right. Okay. So now that we got this first, usually my with these thumbnails, at least with the props, I just have one side myself, and the other side some form of like just generic prop of whatever kind of thing I got going on. So in the case of Battle Bonsai, what I did was I went over to Google Images and I searched Battle Bonsai, and Habbo, official Habbo, releases these kind of weird like promo stuff. And so I found this one right here and I copied it, right? I copy image, went over to my photo editing software, file new, opened it up in my file software. Oof. Oh, that's right. Whenever you copy images off of Google, you have to save it. So, 1 second, because I don't think I want to show some of my files. I'm just saving this image basically to my downloads. Save image as. File open, go to my downloads, open it up. Okay, here we are. And as you can see, we now have it downloaded. with the transparent background. And for this, I know I had to upscale it quite a bit because this is like as if it was zoom 1, I think. As if you're playing in-game zoom 1. So what I had to do is I go images or image size. I think I'm going to do 400%. And let's see if that was big enough. And you just kind of gotta test it. Go back to the tutorial, paste it in there. Yeah, it was 400%. And so now we move this over to the corner. And then we add a stroke again. We turn that stroke down. That's why we don't want it. A universal stroke just for props, because it's kind of different. Okay. I really don't like my character being this big. I think I'm going to go back. Image size. And I know I did 200, but I think I'm going to do 150. There's going to be stretching. But I'm okay with it because the character is so big at this point that it's not even going to matter. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's a lot better. That's just about the size I like to make it for myself. You got to play with it. But once you have character images this big, it's not going to really matter. The pixels aren't 100% square. People aren't going to notice. Just as long as you don't go too overboard with it. A lot of the stuff you have to practice with. So once again, I'm going to go stroke. I think I'll add that little bit more to this one. Then I'm going to go T. Boom. Right there. And so as you can see, we basically got like starting point of like we got a good amount of the work that we have to do for this done. Okay. Okay. So we have the prop section done. I would consider this prop section done. So we have the background done and we have the props done. Right? Now we got to do the text and such. Text is pretty easy, right? We add text. You find your font that you want to use. Make sure it's on top. See what I've been doing to make it like more exciting to fit along the whole entire problem is I've been with quotation marks around everything, the main portion. Battle, bonsai, quotation. I upscale this to 200. Like this. I go T because I want to like turn it a little bit. All right. And you'll notice that just this text by itself right here, it's kind of hard. If you zoom out, it's kind of hard to see what it's saying. So what I do is add a drop shadow. And I make this one a little bit thicker. Or, yeah. There. Zoom out. It's a little bit easier to see basically. Sometimes I'll add like a subtitle one down there. You don't have to though. Battle bonsai. Another thing that I think I've been starting. And this is more of like an advanced kind of thing. At adding like I'm gonna try to start adding like a gradient right here. Oof, that was bad. Why can't I see this gradient? Oh, it's because this is... Holy crap. Okay. Where did I add the text and stuff to? Okay. Battle bonsai needs to be added to the text. Yeah. Okay, the arrow right here and this like live button. I just found this live button on like some asset pack. I found the background for the live button, but then I add my own text to it. If you really want that, I can send that to your way. That way we all, if you all are actually doing a live thumbnail, then we could actually all have the same thumbnail. But if you're doing other graphics, I don't think you're probably going to need that live button. It's really only good for thumbnails. Okay. Okay, putting the live button up on top. Arrow is going to be on top. Text is going to be at the bottom. Actually, arrow is going to be on the bottom. Let's see here. I'm still trying to add this thing. This is just if you need to. Sometimes you got your props are so busy and everything's so busy that you're still not able to see the text. And I noticed this for one of my graphics that I just did for this live stream right here, or this tutorial. I noticed that you still couldn't see the text. So what I did was I went over and added a little bit of a gradient right here. Yeah, it's kind of like a black feature at the bottom. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Yeah, but that's almost about it. Let's see here. We have, I don't want this arrow like kind of in the way of this guy. So I kind of just edit the size of the arrow. Turn it. You don't have to think too hard about a lot of these graphics. People aren't going to be like super judgmental. The arrow's kind of like clickbaity thing. People notice it. I think I had a different arrow on this one. Yeah, I had a different arrow, so it was a lot easier. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I had this one a little bit bigger if now that I'm looking at it. The principle still applies, right? We have this background, the props. Maybe this prop. Oh. Oh, we had a swap background as. What the flip? Can I not move? Okay, I can use it. Pixels. Yeah. You don't have to worry about getting in the way of the Swat logo too much. Like I said, it's best to edit this like after. So now that I got like the Battle Bonsai words out, I've gotten basically everything in place. Right. I can actually go back to the background where I have the Swat logo located, and I can just kind of move it to make sure it's mostly visible. And then I can even at the sides a little bit. Right. Boom. And I'm not too worried about it cutting off right here, right there, just because of the art style of this whole entire piece. But yeah, that's basically how I create the thumbnails. divided into two sections. I'll go back to an overview right here. You have the background. You have the Swat blue. Then you got the background, the screenshot, black and white screenshot, moved onto this to, and then you just change the opacity, or you can change the blending modes if you're able to edit blending modes. I have soft light on Photoshop with 60% opacity. Then I add like this the S logo in the background, just to add some texture. Soft light again, and then 55% opacity. Doesn't really matter, you play with it, just make sure it's not too noticeable. And then the lines to add dramatic effect. Swat logo. And add in the props. And my character. I go into a different room. And I know it's all one background, so then I'm able to just edit out the background real easy. And add a white stroke around it. Add another prop. You're able to find these kind of props on Google. If you whatever subject on Habbo, you can really just find you can find basic images on Google for what you're looking for. But then also you can do, sometimes I will go into the green screen room. Sometimes I'll go over here in the green screen room and I'll just put together a piece. I'll make myself one. Let's see. Green. Right? Green's not going to work too well, but you can make your own set. And then I know that there's the floor's cutting out right here, but usually I'll get like I'll get something to edit that. I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I'll sometimes I'll just put a bunch of furniture down here. You have to get like a, what's the thing called? Magic tile. And then kind of raise everything up whenever you're doing it like I did. I use like these green block tiles, but it clips through a lot of furniture. So what I do is I just raise all the furniture, and there you go. It doesn't clip through anymore. Easy, kind of. Yeah, but that's a trick that you can do to make this like left side props. I kind of like that. Sometimes I'll have this a little bit bigger, but that's another thing. Even with the sides section right here, that's why it's so important to take screenshots and do the prop stuff at like zoom 2 or upscale everything. It just looks better. And if you do it properly, then everything's perfectly square and it doesn't look like stretched. You don't want your pixels looking stretched, it just looks funny. Alright, so that's the props. And then add in your text, battle bonsai, and quotations, whatever. You can. Gradient sometimes helps at the bottom. Arrows kind of grab attention. Live button right there. Make sure you're zooming out quite a bit to make sure stuff looks good. As you can imagine, like small screens, or if this is like a YouTube, people scrolling through YouTube, you want it to be eye-catching, right? People are able to see that, hey, this is a Habbo character, this is Habbo props, but we got all this stuff that they usually don't see, you know, oh, live, look at this, right? And so it's kind of exciting and eye-catching is the idea. But that's basically it. If you need any of these graphic stuff, like say Swat's logo, Swat's colors and such, let me know. Well, yeah, I think I'm gonna basically end stuff there. Don't forget about the white outlines over the props. The stroke around it is what we do call it over in Photoshop. We have a stroke around this basically. Which that was already a part of the graphics pack. But yeah, that's basically it. That's all it is you get the text, the props, and the background. There's these little exciting graphics. And yeah, but I'm sure you guys can find like different stuff part of this whole entire thing, this whole entire process that I go through right here in my mindset and a lot of stuff, and kind of apply it to your own kind of graphics. And yeah, I think just looking because I have more open space right here, makes the background a little bit more visible, whereas with this one there's hardly any space available. So I think I might, like, instead of having it 70%, I might turn it down to like 60 or 50. Yeah, you see, even 50 you're still able to see it. That way, yeah, that looks better. Yeah. Swat blue, swat yellow. Props on the left and right. Arrows, yeah, pretty easy. Fun stuff. Hopefully you learned something. Message me if you have any questions. And yeah. If there's something crazy that I forgot, I might come back and redo it or create a new little video explaining that one part. But for the most part, that should be it.